I must have a special lady joining me this morning on Thriving in Abundance Talk. Welcome to Thriving in Abundance Talk. Igama lami Zodwa Msimang, KaNsibande. And of course, we are in the month of August in Azania, where we're celebrating women. And therefore, this is indeed our Woman Thrive series. And the spotlight is on this beautiful young lady. It's Pala. It's Pala, Miss Pearl. Sokhulu.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
What an absolute pleasure. Let me start with the word of prayer. Father, we thank you, Lord. Indeed, we bow with the angels and the elders. Namhlanje kuseni siyakwamukela moyo ingcwele in this place. Ngena usebenze wenza umsebenzi wakho. We are doing this Woman Thrive series to inspire and encourage especially young women that are looking at doing big and amazing things. Holy Spirit, like this young lady that I'm hosting today, ukuze baba bakwazi ukuphila benze lokho okhulumile ngabo before the foundations of the earth. Father, we thank you ukuthi this morning as we are bowing down with the angels and the elders, impela kuzoba njalo makube njalo, because Father, we know that the future is bright for Azania. It doesn't matter what we see happening right now, but we are assured of the very thing, whatever that you have spoken about our nation, it shall come to pass, because you are a respecter of no man. What you say, noma ikanjani kuzophumelela. Baba siyabonga ukuthi ekuqaleni uthi udalile izulu nomhlaba, usudala umuntu to dominate, what we must be fruitful and multiply. So it shall be makube njalo kuze kube ngona phakade. Amen.
Amen.
And of course, if you've just joined us, igama lami Zodwa Msimang, KaNsibande. It's our Woman Thrive series. Namhlanje, I've got Sis Pearl Sokhulu, who is the managing director of Vuma 103 FM. Khona lapha KwaZulu Natal. Hey, momeko la KZN uyaphuthela. Kodwa phela you can live stream wherever you are in the world. Ungaputhelwa. It's for us, the young at heart. Pearl, uyaphila?
Ngiyaphila.
You know, igama elithi Pearl, igama elibalulekile, igama eli special, because a pearl is something beautiful. Why did the parents give you that name?
You know, angazi ngibabuze, and it's late because unfortunately what's a pearl kodwa and akasekho kumaso angeke ngisambuza. But there's one thing, you know, when you speak of names, there's something very special about naming a child.
Yes.
And I think when they named me, they had only the warmest and most beautiful intentions. Amagama amasephelelo nonkanyiso, pearl nompumelelo.
Wow.
And I think they must have spoken something very beautiful into my life by calling me those names, and I think they must have come from a very special and deep place in their hearts. So I love all of my names. Nami futhi ngathi mangiqamba indodakazi yami ngacabanga ukuthi what is it that I want to speak into her life. Hence igama lakhe ukonke okuhle, uyikho konke okuhle, and konke okuhle makuze kuyena. It was so names. It's funny you should say that because I really value names very, very deeply, and I believe that we do become our names.
Oh, absolutely, because names are prophetic by their very nature. Mina ngisuke namhlanje unonkanyiso because ngiyakubona le novela. Ngiyakubona mina ngikubonile ukhanyiso many a times. So for me, you've got beautiful names, and you must actually live to your names. And of course, we are phumelela. There's no question about that. There's no question about ukuthi yaphumelela. So mhlambe let's start from lapha eqaleni ukhula emlazi kwa L.
Yeah.
Where did you go to primary?
People are often surprised ukuthi ukufunda saqala ukufunda khona la eThekwini. We were all of us, me and my siblings, and I went to a little school on the bluff
Okay.
For grade 1. Emva kwalokho angeke ukholwe ukuthi at the age of 6, I went to boarding school.
Okay. No.
Most people
Yeah,
get shocked.
I know quite a few of you.
I think in our generation, sibaningi, and I think isizathu ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi, I'm sure sonke sikhumbula kahle ukuthi isimo sasenjani emalokishini ngaleso sikhathi. There was a lot of violence, there was a lot of unrest. It wasn't a great, if you had the option, very few people had the option, but if you had the option, then, and when I say had the option, it wasn't because mhlambe imali yayiningi ngaleyo ndlela cha. It was because you were willing to sacrifice. Our parents sacrificed an enormous amount ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi siyofunda kulezi izikole. So from the age of 6, ngithi mangabe ngibuka indodakazi yami manje, she's turning 6 this year, ngithi would I send her to boarding school? And I wouldn't.
The circumstances are different.
I wouldn't be strong enough. So yeah, the circumstances are different. But I do realize that for my mother, it must have been the most difficult thing. To send a 6-year-old away. Ungamboni. Mina njena mangabe ngawuthola nguhaki njena. Mangabe seyolala umntana, I struggle for, you know. There must be an evening hug, there must be a morning hug, there must be the after school hug, there must be the drop off at school hug, there must be. So from the age of 6, I went to Epworth. In Pietermaritzburg.
Epworth, yes.
Lovely school. I enjoyed it very, very, very much. And then later on to St. Anne's in Hilton.
Oh, yes.
And then in what is now called grade 10. Mina ngisakhuluma in standards.
What's standard?
Standard 8. Yeah, but it must be.
Yes.
Then isimo la South Africa sasisikhulukile kakhulu, things were different.
Yes,
and
yes.
Sasikwazi ukuthi sifundele nanoma ikuphi. And
true.
It is incredibly expensive, as we all know, to send 3 children to private boarding school.
Oh my goodness.
It's worse now. It's worse. It's much, much worse now. And so at that point, I then came home to be a day scholar for almost the first time in my entire life.
Wow.
And then I completed my high school at Our Lady of Fatima.
Oh, yeah. Konala eduza.
Konala
So you're Rome, Catholic?
No, funnily enough, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
All right.
But I was just attracted to the school.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, you know, when the decision came, it wasn't my parents that made the decision. I just realized, you know, our parents sacrificed so much for us. And I could see the burden on my parents in sending us to these schools. And on the one holiday, ngavele kwakusakhona nama-phone book ngaleso sikhathi. Ngabhala phansi njena ilist yey'kole. Kwakungakabi khona lento yokuthi you're going to Google all the top day schools in Durban.
You don't look like Ukleyo age group.
Ngilapho. And I remember phoning schools, deciding where do I want to go to school. And I was 13. And I wrote the schools down. Maristella was in the list. Our Lady of Fatima was in the list. I'd like to go to that school. And I phoned the principal of Our Lady of Fatima. And she must have, I don't know what she must have thought with this 13-year-old on the other side of the phone saying, I'd really like to come and interview for your school. And I explained what school I go to at the moment. And wabuya uma wayothishuma wabuya uma after school ngamxoxela ukuthi we have an appointment with the principal of the school. Here it is, we're going there because ngiyabona ukuthi niyasendelwa kunzima.
Oh my goodness, at 13.
Yes.
Wow.
So she trusted me and we went.
Wow.
And she just went with it.
Yeah.
And it alleviated quite a big burden on them. But it was also I have only good things to say about that school.
Yes,
I enjoyed my time there.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Um,
But I want to go back to a boarding school at 6, like. Just briefly take us through those,
Boarding
because
school
those
at
are
6.
foundational, formative years, you know,
Yes.
and you are in the hands of other people. I'm just like saying this because maybe someone will actually learn something, and somebody might be thinking about that currently and they're not sure. May just encourage them, or it may just make them decide otherwise.
You know, I think there were pros and cons.
Yeah.
I really do. I think the main reason Basisama boarding school, even to this day, I think I still believe they did the right thing. I mean, I remember on one occasion, ngesikhathi kusakubi impela, you know, seeing myself as a child, the kind of violence and unrest that was going on. As an adult, I understand completely ukuthi yini eyenza ukuthi bathathe leso sinqumo at the time.
Yes.
I think ngoba isimo asafani manje.
Yes.
I think it would be very difficult for me
Okay.
to justify doing it now, simply
Yeah.
because of what you say, that it is still very much formative years.
Yes.
I am a believer in boarding school. Because I think uma ngabe umntwana ese-ready iyona ndlela yokuthi umsize ukuthi afunde ukuba independent. Ngicabanga ukuthi iy'ngane zethu sitotoza kakhulu. Too much these days. And I think that sometimes we steal their independence from them by making them too soft. You know, I was making my own bed. I was folding my own laundry. I was, uyazi nje ukuthi makushayo 5, it's shower time, bath time,
Yeah,
what, at a very young age.
Yeah.
Whereas you see a 6-year-old, they come into the house these days, i-lunchbox itshingwa lena, ijuice itshingwa lena, ubuyiwa nesicathulo esisodwa awusazi esinye ukuthi sikuphi ngakusasa ngizosangana nonke ekuseni senifunana nalesicathulo. You know, whereas for a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old in boarding school, you know that your shoes go here, your jersey goes here, you do this, even the way you make your bed,
Everything prim and proper and structure.
Yeah.
So parents, please, in the event that they're at home, they are not in boarding school, please make sure what the structure is there. Abantu abadlala impete bakithi baqoqe icathulo yonke into ihleleke. Inina bazali. All right, fast forward to tertiary. Where did you go to tertiary?
So tertiary, I started off thinking I was going to be an artist.
As in how? As in
visual art.
Oh, visual art.
As in visual art.
All right, okay.
It was a great talent of mine.
Oh wow.
And in grade 10, my work was exhibited.
Oh, beautiful.
At the Durban City Hall.
Oh, good, that's amazing. Yeah, you had like potential. It's definitely there.
And I think it was only for that reason that my parents even allowed me to study anything artistic, because you know, our parents were they didn't understand in W. Like if you said you want to be a chef, it would be like, you know, like if you want to be an artist,
all right.
So I think just to go into having 2 professional parents, I think that allowed me to then kind of. But I was dissatisfied with it, so I started.
So you started art. Is that what you studied?
Graphic design.
Graphic design.
And then I realized it wasn't intellectually stimulating. So it was creatively. It was wonderful. But then I thought I can't do this for the rest of my life.
Young people out there, did you hear that? You can be gifted creatively, but you may just want something that is more intellectually stimulating. Because if you've got the talent, is innate, you so just think about that for a moment. All right.
So fast forward, I did a complete 180. I started off with pure creative, and then I thought, okay, what would be a good combination, a blend between something more cerebral and something still creative? So then I went and studied marketing.
Okay.
Then I started feeling, you know, I was in a wonderful organization, Robertson's, then Unilever, lovely marketing environments.
Yes, all those lovely marketing environments for young, you know, professionals.
Yes.
They're good training grounds, of
Wonderful.
course, for marketeers.
Excellent. Excellent. The best. But then I felt dissatisfied.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, I went the full 180. And then I went and studied auditing and accounting. So,
yes. But now I want to, because obviously, I think the first ones that you mentioned, it would have been in a marketing environment, and you were a young lady starting work at the time. What are the 3 things that you would have taken from those environments in the marketing space and in the corporate space at the time?
Oh, just 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let me filter. Let me think. There's a lot. You know, one of the things that I think was very useful was my schooling background.
Okay.
And why I say that is that I think that I developed a certain level of confidence, ability to communicate with people of all ages and races and cultures, and from that young age. And when you are suddenly put into an environment like a Unilever and you're young, and because of your position you're leading teams, sometimes, you know, you need to and I think that for us culturally, especially a young person.
Yeah.
But when you walk into an environment and you need to now give direction to people who are much older than you, with 20 years experience, and you're the project team leader, and you're 25, or sometimes even younger, you need to have a certain level of confidence, and particularly in marketing where you're selling ideas. I remember launching brands, huge brands with big budgets, and having to instruct people from supply chain to whatever, you know, on this is the plan. And I think that that confidence is critical. And the belief in what you're doing, believe in yourself.
Believing in yourself.
Extremely important. But I think another thing is, and I still think there's a huge shortage of mentorship for young people.
Mentorship for young people.
It is just terrible.
May it just be your calling. Who knows?
It's terrible how little mentorship there is, particularly for a young black graduate.
You
know, when you walk into these environments, and I would say that the environments that I was groomed in are fairly open-minded and progressive, and you know, they're actually easier places to work. They're much worse places to work than that. And if you do not have, we often see people progressing in these environments who are far less talented. But, you know, navigating the corporate environment is a skill.
It's a skill.
And you do need someone who you will be able to sit at a dinner table with or over a coffee and just unpack ukuthi isimo sasemsebenzini sekanje, what, you know, some advice, please. And I didn't have that.
I can imagine
I didn't have
during
that.
those, especially females.
Especially female. And so I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks many times. And I think that, you know, so I do think that in a way our generation were trailblazers because we started doing things that our parents never even had the opportunity to do.
I know.
And I think that it's our obligation for our kids and other people's children, it doesn't have to be your child, to impart the wisdom that we have now gained with all of the scars and bruises and scratches.
Yes, yes. It's a good thing it
along
doesn't
the
show.
way. It doesn't show.
Because you still look as beautiful as ever.
If I hadn't had.
You know, but the good thing about these things is that, you know, when they say go to your tests, become your testimonies. So local,
I like that.
yeah. So nothing is ever in vain. Zonke lezi zinto esidlula kuzona esingathi zilikhunyanyana. So if you keep iphel. So kufuneka kuphume iphel. So I actually see in your profile what you also once taught at one of the institutions of higher learning. All right, tell me about that. That sounds exciting. I can see you in class. Ubafundisa isikhona sokuthi bathi bakubiza nge-lecture bakubiza ngegama. I went through that. I was a teacher, by the way, at 21 years old, and my students would be like, "Sorry, Zodwa," and I'd be like,
Angizwa.
all right.
Yes, no, and I was still young. And at the time, I decided that I was going to take some time to consult. So I was consulting and I was lecturing, and I was lecturing accounting students.
Okay, hey,
And
a
it was-
graphic designer, a marketer, for this accounting bunch.
I don't know what that means about my personality, but I enjoyed it. I
Yes.
enjoyed it. I don't think ukuthi ngingakwazi ukufundisa laba abancane kakhulu. So it was higher education. So you know, I didn't have to be too motherly about
Yes,
it.
yes. But did you enjoy the experience?
I
Would you say
enjoyed
there's a
the
bigger part of a teacher in you?
experience. I definitely believe that. I definitely, and maybe I got that from my mother. She was a teacher. I don't know.
Okay.
But definitely not for school level. I
Yeah.
think at
What
a
is
higher-
what was the major takeaway from that particular experience?
Oh my goodness! I don't think you'll like the takeaway that came to my mind first.
Filter.
The takeaway that came out, because it was first year UNISA accounting, and if you want to do a BCom, angazi noma sekwashintsha yini manje, kodwa at the time, if you want to, you have to do accounting.
Yes.
So unfortunately for these poor children, even if you wanted to end up being in HR, kwakufanele uqale udlule kule accounting.
Yeah. Kodwa kuyasiza
Oh,
njalo.
ngayifuni ngale ndlela. But now, one of my big takeouts was actually how we need to invest more in mathematical education. Because even if your intention isn't ultimately to become a CA, or even to take accounts to level 3 or finance or economics or just even if you end up in business, you need to understand. Just understand. Someone else will formulate your profit and loss for you, but you have to understand it.
You need to be able to
Or if you
understand
are a designer and you want to make beautiful garments,
Thank
like
you
the one
so
that
much.
I'm
Hey, shout out to
wearing,
Zulu Madam.
you need to understand costing. And I've seen so many designers who can create the most unbelievably fabulous garments and work. It's beautiful beadwork, beautiful furniture, but they cannot cost their product. And so they wonder why they never make money. So when my takeout, before I go too far, my takeout is that it doesn't actually matter what you're going to do with your life. We need to teach our children just the numeracy as a life skill.
All right. If you would like to have a pal doing a masterclass, especially for creatives when it comes to the financial part of it, because I do know what you're saying is very correct. Most of the creative people, because we're all just passionate about what we are creating, but managing a business really managing a business is about people and money.
Yeah.
You know, in a nutshell. So, just let me know if you are looking at this masterclass So we can just make sure ukuthi sayithola ngale information ayiphethe uma Sokhulu. Ngiyakhumbula ngaleso sikhathi ufika lapha in one of the radio stations uzoba MD. Kishimila ubolo. Kasi lona buka ngazothunga ngondodana wami nje.
It's the genes.
I know. Yeah, and you know, and it was just so exciting for me. What was most exciting though, just looking at it from outside, is like she's young, and she's female, and she's feisty. Tell us about that experience in that particular radio station. How old were you then?
One.
Okay, no, we're not going to ask the age. No, don't go there. But you
I've
were young.
I've been in a number of radio stations. My first opportunity to be in radio, I was young. I couldn't believe they employed me. I thought they were
Is that the
crazy.
one in KZN?
Yes.
Yes,
I thought they were crazy.
Yeah.
I thought they were absolutely mad.
Wow.
Because I thought, who would entrust their business?
Yeah.
At the time, I was 27.
I know. I remember that you were quite young.
An MD, you know, and it was a turnaround project because the company at the time had. I'm probably not at liberty to say, but the assessed loss ran into the tens of millions.
No, I remember.
And I thought, are these guys? So I had happened to have come across one of the board members because I had done a research study for them. They were impressed with it. And then they tried to recruit me into one of their other radio stations, and there wasn't a fit for me personally. I didn't see myself working at that radio station, particularly at that time. It just didn't sit in my spirit correctly.
Yes.
And then so then what was P4 at the time needed a rebranding, a relaunch, and a turnaround.
Yeah.
And I thought, my goodness, these men who, and it was all men.
Yabakhumbula bonke at the time, yabas.
Offered me this position. And let me tell you, when I was interviewed at very luxurious, beautiful offices in Johannesburg, and I thought, oh, this is all very nice. It's what I'm used to. It looks like the Unilevers and the Ernst & Youngs and the whatever, you know. And then when day one came to go to the actual business,
KZN, sizophatha.
Ngafika angidlali mangithi ngaleso sikhathi people shared a computer.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. Like ihlalo zakhona zonke zayefile ichekile kanje namadesk akhona nje nokum kanjena. And I remember the sales manager saying that people get paid on the 40th of the month. Wow. And I did.
It's like you've got it cut out for you, girl. Are you sure?
Nobody told me about this. But for me, I was young, I was feisty, and I was ambitious, and I had a plan, and we implemented the plan.
And yes, you did.
And I think that nobody expected it to succeed. Yeah. And I think it's because I was young. Yeah, it's because nobody expected it to succeed, but it succeeded. Yeah. Fantastically.
That's why we're already in the space. Says, hey, it's too late to see a book. But I mean, there's a part of me that was just feeling, because I knew about, you know, what was happening in the space. I had some some kind of information, and you know, so I was like, no, this is good. Like, you know. So those years, what are the things that you would say they were your takeaways in that environment?
It was the first time leading such a huge team. And I think it was my first time having to rally a team to prove to people, convince people that they could be winners. Because I think that when people have been losers for so long, it takes an enormous amount of imagination for them to think that they can win.
It needed a creative who's an accountant. Definitely.
It needed the creative personality.
Yeah.
And then to reduce it to, okay, so this is where we are. This is ground level. This is where we are. But we need to get there. So I think that learning curve has served me well ever since. And then again, I'm going to go back to the mentorship because, you know, now you're sitting on a board with people who are on the board of listed companies, and you are a 20-something-year-old, and this is the first business that you've ever run, and they are in their 50s and their 40s, and you are, you know, fairly inexperienced. Now, I think that one of the things that I would have benefited from was definitely having someone who is at that level, kind of showing me the ropes a lot more. And that's what I would encourage for young people. And I look at our kids and I think that they are so lucky because your scars, they don't have to bahambe beshayeka ngendlela wena washayeka ngayo, because you'll be able to caution with be careful.
So there was no structured, even a coaching, you know, offering, you know, because mostly, I mean, with corporates at that level, you would be offered a coach.
No.
Nothing.
Ugeli kwakufanele abe strong.
What to get for boarding school emncane. She's got something special.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, one of the things that that I really think for young professionals, and at the time I had friends who had gone the accounting route and gone into Big Four articles, etc. Nakhona futhi bafike bahlangabezana nento efanayo ukuthi it seemed some people understood something that there was a module they missed at varsity. Whereas, you know, children who came from an environment where their father's already a partner at...
I know.
You know? So they seem to know something that we don't know. Tina isipuma with background and I say that, I mean, I was even much better off, obviously.
Of course.
So it's a big gap.
Yeah. Something that I think, you know, organizations need to look into. Even, I think, you know, as people that are entrepreneurs, with your teams, you need to start looking at investing in human capital. It's something that's very important and critical. And I think in small businesses, we tend to overlook these things. What grounds you?
Now what grounds me is my daughter.
So cutesy. Yeah. Okay, okuhle.
Yeah.
All right.
That is a big part of my identity. She is a big part of my identity.
Yes.
And on a personal level, I think that my spiritual well-being is of critical importance. And I think that it's been my compass even through difficult times where, you know, you can be as low as low can be. What you need is that shining light inside that connects you to your maker. As long as that little lamp is has still got a flame, is still burning, then you know that it doesn't matter how low things are now.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You must make sure that ilambu lingaphakathi kwena aliqishi embukeli wami, because manke kwacisha lelo lambu then izinto ziya le nale. What gives you sleepless nights now, because you are now the MD of another big radio station in KZN, and it's quite a mammoth task, I think, you know, in this season, you know, whereby there is a lot that's happening in the media space.
Yeah. There is a lot, and it's not an easy trading environment. I think that for many businesses, not just media, but in media, it isn't easy. I think one of the things that I need to stop doing is checking my emails before I sleep, because that causes sleepless nights.
Oh, yes. Ngathi ngifundise kahle bakithi ngoba sike saba nethuba lokusebenza ndawonye. Ngithi mina hayi naphela mina abekho mina hayi mase ngikwami.
Akwenzeki. Yabo ama smartphones
Yeah, true.
No, I think really there's a part of, and I think we're in the same boat, where when your success isn't just your success, it's the success of many families.
Yes.
There are many people that are reliant upon the growth and the success of the entity, and even more than the accountability to one's superiors, in a corporate structure. I think that for me, accountability to the people I work with and their stability and success and so on. That's an important thing. And I think that in that first opportunity that I got to run a business, that was, since then, that was my greatest driving goal, was to see people, when I was told that people get paid on the 40th of the month when I got there, it was to see people being able to be proud of where they work and being able to be financially stable in that environment, and being able to get a 13th check and a bonus and to succeed, that's a big driving force for me. It
Yeah,
still is.
very interesting. I'm actually just thinking about where we are as a country now in South Africa. What is your hope? So you said your daughter is turning 6 years? Yeah, what would you like to see for your daughter at 25 years? So that's like in 20 years' time. So what sort of South Africa, Azania, that you would like your daughter to be at or in?
There's so many things that I can say, so many. And also being a girl child, I think that I want to see a country where a young woman can walk in the streets safely without fear.
Absolutely.
Where a high school student can go from a library, asuke library kwamashu ahambe ngeenyawo aze afike endlini, wherever, without fearing that she will be harassed, hurt, harmed, or anything in the process. I want to see an environment where women are not afraid to leave, and so they stay in bad situations because they fear that, oh my goodness, it's going to be even worse if I leave. I want to see, honestly, a GB-free South Africa. And I want to see a growing South Africa, economically growing South Africa, because, it doesn't matter how well we educate our children. That's it. What will happen is that they'll flee. Europe has got such an aging population. They will be delighted to take your daughter and your son to go and
be right now.
Yes, and this is Salanani Getina. So we'll be educating these doctors, these lawyers, these engineers, these people, even creatives who are better appreciated elsewhere, and youngsters will not see any opportunity here, and they will flee, and that's a big fear for me. In the past, I remember. I don't know if you'll remember one of before Trevor Noah ended up, also fleeing. But his case is different. But I remember one of the jokes that we used to all laugh about was his, I'm going to Australia. Go to Australia. Uzobuya, yes. A year ago or 18 months ago, there's a very important piece of research that we use in our industry. There are lots of different research that is kind of currency for us in our media. One of the studies that I was looking at had a slide that shocked me, and I don't know why it shocked me, but it did. And it was titled "The Race to Leave is Not About Race." Ngoba esikhathini esiphambili thina sasicabanga ukuthi it's the other races that are so keen to go to Australia.
Yes.
Mina angina ancestor ephuma Australia ngazi ukuthi ngabe ngiyokwenzani eAustralia, but our youngsters now are the ones who are, as young black people saying, angiliboni ikusasa lana. I'm taking my engineering qualification and I'm going to Dubai and I'm going to Canada and I'm going to wherever. And we need to fix this.
It has to be fixed.
We're seeing our doctors and, you know, skills that we need fleeing. So I think what I'd like to see in 20 years' time is a country where they want to stay because there's opportunity for them. And it's safe. And it's a good place for them to be. That's what I want.
Yeah, 2024 remains critical for South Africa, for us to be able to see all these beautiful things that we are hoping for the future of Azania and our nation. What's your passion?
I have several.
Of course, she's a creative.
The two that come to mind, I do still love to draw, although my confidence is at level 0 with my art at the moment.
Sibuya City Hall.
And my other one is writing for children.
Yes.
On a day-to-day basis, but
your passion is a passion. Remember, your passion is what you were created to be, something that God spoke about your life before the foundations of the earth. Umsebenzi, khona umsebenzi nje uthi sikhole. Mase kuba khona ipassion into esizale nayo that just comes naturally, and we actually don't mind mayingasirholelanga because we know ukuthi freely given.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Working in a radio space, I think you deal with a lot of personalities. Lapayana, you know, ngoba phela abantu abadriver, you know, different slots. So, baba personalities. Ubahendisha kanjani?
Oh, I love it. I think there's a lot of drama sometimes.
Yeah, I can
imagine. Any creative environment.
Ah, right.
I don't even think it's just radio, but we have a high concentration of it in radio. Kodwa Ikhono kumnandi. You know, if can you imagine working in a clinical dry environment la kungekho color khona. I need that color. Which is why I didn't become an auditor. I needed I'm not suggesting we all like different things.
Yes.
But that color adds excitement, adds flavor, and I love it. I love the diverse personalities. And the wonderful thing about media is that it's still a business. So you get everything. You get the creativity. There are times when people can't believe that listening to music is part of a job. You know, and it is. And listening to how a show is put together, or that's all creative. It's wonderful, but there's also the business side of it. There's also the audit. There's also the month-end packs. There's also the legal compliance with the authority, with the CASA. There's also just the legal aspect of running a business. There's so what's wonderful about it is how diverse it is. It's very hard to get bored.
Yeah, no, this I can imagine. And creatives, they can't be bought. All right, so you have a young daughter and you are a working mother. Balance?
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Really. And I think angingedwa lana ngicabanga ukuthi bonke omama.
So let's phuma lapha.
Yes. I mean, because I think you want to do both at 150%. and the part that gets compromised the most is you, because emsebenzini ufuna ukuthi achieve excel and reach that target, and nasendlini ufuna ukuthi you want to be as much of a mom as a stay-at-home mom can be, which is impossible. But you want to juggle it. But I think it's good for children, male and female children, to see their mothers working. I think it's good for many reasons. Particularly for a girl child, I think it's good to see that you must also be a contributor to society, that your identity isn't just in, what goes on in the home. You are a real person out there. And I've often taken my child to work for her to see.
Experience.
Like, this is what happens. This is what her mother does all day. And to get that context of, maybe when I grow up, I want to do 1, 2, 3, or and have ambition to do something.
Yeah.
Because I guess one's first role model is their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Government school, private school, online schooling?
Each one has their benefits.
All right.
And I wouldn't say it's just, I think what I think is important is that whatever school it is, that it's not just about school. So the academics must tick the box of excellent academics.
Yeah.
Then what more is the school going to give you over and above a curriculum? Because zonke le ikole zevasithi.
True.
Zonke. Zonke. Whether siselokishini noma it's the most expensive school in South Africa. If you meet the academics, siyohlangana lokhuze auditorium.
Auditorium.
Sonke. Ukuthi singisi uyasirola nowasiroli sizohlangana khona, and we'll both end up being actuaries. But the difference for me is those other things. It's the discipline. It's the worldview. It's the grounded, the base of the values of the school. It's the opportunities for even extracurricular activities in another environment, or it's the opportunity to have your mind opened by having a visiting lecture from someone you admire and respect, and that to me is the difference. That's the difference, because some of our most successful business people in this country, some of our most successful doctors, some of our most successful entrepreneurs, or whatever they are, or lawyers, judges, bafunda ibantu education.
KwaDlakezwa High School, where I went.
But there's those. So I would never discredit any of those options. But there's what I believe you then look for are those other things that have got nothing to do with curriculum.
Yeah, I'm with you. So it's the whole package that makes the whole person.
Yes.
I'm with you. All right, a message to a young lady, a young guy who is watching us, Emlazi, Kwamashu, Soweto, Mdantsana, noma ngabe kuphi la besibukela khona, and they are looking at her and they're like, I want to be like her, ngelinye ilanga. So what message would you give to them as we draw to a close?
Sure. I want to say self-belief, but I also think it's bigger than self. And I think that you've got to have a very strong faith in a greater being than yourself, and rely on it heavily. Because it gives you a moral compass, and it helps you decide what is good for me and what's not good for me. And so the self-love is embedded in it, to say, you know, if in a Christian context, you would say, would my father approve of this in my life? Because there's so many pushes and pulls for young people. And it's so easy, especially with social media.
Yeah.
It's so easy to be drawn in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
And even when, you know, it's not to say that when you have that embedded inside you that you won't make the wrong decisions, but it's to say that it's much easier to come back from the wrong decisions if you make them, because everybody makes mistakes. But you have to have that North Star that you're constantly pursuing. I think that's very important for a young person, particularly today.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. Awuke ngikunikele ithuba ke nje ukuthi ayisivuma FM. Yeah, itholakala wanobani wani kuphi nakuphi. Just go for it.
Download the Vuma FM app. You will never hear better music ever and better content. So look us up on our socials at Vuma FM, but particularly get onto that app and start streaming. You'll be hooked, I guarantee you.
And what is the payoff line again?
It is, well, we're actually changing the payoff line.
Oh!
It's adult radio for the young at heart, which means that we might be older, more mature in years.
Yes.
But we're still young at heart.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, definitely young at heart. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Pearl Sokhulu, who is the managing director of Vuma FM 103 Khona KwaZulu-Natal, kodwa streaming all over the world. And of course, you can download that app. Igama lami Zodwa, Msimang, KaNsibande. God bless Azania. God bless Africa. We love you.